My name is Abelardo de la Peña Jr. I'm Director of Marketing and Communications con la Plaza de Cultura y Artes. Welcome to En Casa con la Plaza, a very special edition. I say every edition, every session is very special, but this one is extra
Hola,
special.
gente. Buenas tardes.
Oh, see?
Good evening.
See how special we are?
Pressing buttons.
We're repeating ourselves here. Like I said, I'm pressing buttons, making things happen live on Facebook, live on Zoom, on my personal Facebook page, on La Plaza's Facebook page. And I hope that you, if you're on Facebook, share with your friends, share with your community, because we got a great one tonight. We got with us Frankie Firme, internet DJ pioneer, who's going to talk about West Coast Chicano Soul. Little bit of a different program. Usually we have a conversation or a PowerPoint or some kind of a presentation or performance. But what's going to happen here, Frankie's going to tell us a little bit, a lot actually, about himself and his journey through Chicano music. I'm going to be behind the scenes, pressing buttons, like I said. You're going to be watching some videos, listening to some music. It's old stuff, so don't expect the finest quality broadcast that you get on your big HD TVs, because that ain't going to happen here. But you're going to get soulful. You're going to get turned on, if you haven't already, by this wonderful music that comes from our community. So with that, take it away, Frankie Firme.
Thank you, Lalo. Hello, everybody. This is Frankie Firme, the Al Capone of the microphone and the hitman of West Coast Chicano Soul. So glad to be here to talk about West Coast Chicano music. You know, as I stated earlier, Chicano music is like the five fingers of your hand. It can go in different directions because depending on geographically what kind of Chicano influence you have. I'm going to talk about my influences, basically from East Los Angeles, although there's a lot of good Chicano music influences from all over the country. Now, my parents were from East LA. They were Pachuco Jitterbuggers in the 1940s, and they influenced my music, my taste in music and dancing from an early age. I remember, for whatever reason, they couldn't really like go to nightclubs in LA. They would have house parties. My family would throw parties, and my aunts and uncles, they would last all weekend, and they would play records on a thing called the hi-fi. And I remember them playing and dancing to music. A guy named Antosti and Lalo Guerrero, who is known as the godfather of Chicano music. As a matter of fact, I think we got some Lalo Guerrero, one of the most favorite popular songs of the day. Can you hit that, Abelardo? I believe it was called Chicas Patas Boogie. Significant music. Edward James Olmos. You know, that was real significant music because it was probably the first generation of Chicanos playing American music. Swing, or it was known back in the days, boogie. As compared to, you know, traditional mariachi music and Spanish boleros and rancheras. Here were Chicanos and zoot suits in the 1940s during a very tumultuous time in our history, dressing up so good and dancing so fine and playing American music with Spanish language lyrics. It blew a lot of people away. We got something else. There was a guy named Don Tosti. He took it a step further. You people nowadays think you know rap music. Chicanos were rapping in the 1940s. Check this out. You got something from Don Tosti, Abelardo?
Pachuco Boogie!
Check this out. another version of the song, the guy's talking, and he's talking about transition, about the way the Chicanos came from Mexico, Juarez, specifically El Paso, and they came to LA with the style of clothes and the style of music that was envied by a lot and copied by a lot of people. You know, zoot suits were happening, Chicano music was happening, you know, and you know, my parents listened to, they also listened to and danced to a lot of Black music. Like Chicanos, Blacks didn't get a lot of airplay. They didn't get a lot of radio play, but they had their own underground methods of sharing music. And they would dance. And my mom told me they weren't allowed to go into nightclubs in LA, in the city proper. But outside of the city proper, the Blacks and Chicanos would have nightclubs in basements of large buildings. And that's where the Chicanos partied, you know, early, and the Blacks partied together early. And that's where the term underground came from. Chicanos were doing underground parties and dancing. And one of the more favorite tunes was from a guy named Joe Houston. And I remember my family dancing to that, and the guys just getting crazy with this song. And it's kind of mellow by today's standard, but back then, it set a standard. You guys something by Joe Houston? My mom taught me to dance to this too. I remember. You know, I try to dance to this song, man. My wife, hey, lucky if I can catch my breath. You know, it still is a song that's copied by a lot of bands that, you know, are hitting that Chicano audience. Most notably is a group called Pachuco Jose and Los Diamantes. And they play this song, and it packs the dance floor. And there are groups, there are Zoot groups that, you know, they're Chicanos, and they're playing this song. And I mean, I remember at the end where there's a chorus going all night long, and everybody in the party, all the kids, all the parents, the tios, the tias, everybody singing all night long. And it was a party song. It was really great, you know, but they also liked the slow songs, you know, and in the late 50s, there was a Chicano rock star, the first Chicano rock star. He sang in English, and he was just so cool. Unfortunately, he left us early, but Richie Valens came up with a song that he sang for a girlfriend. And I believe it was called Oh Donna. You got that one, Abelardo? I'm sure you do.
Oh, Donna, oh, Donna, oh, Donna, oh, Donna. I had a girl, Donna was her name. Since she left me, I haven't been the same, but I found my girl, Donna, where can you be? Where can you be? Now that you're gone.
Yeah, Richie Valens. That was the first Chicano rock star on the West Coast, singing rock and roll in English. And he was Chicano. Unfortunately, he left us early. He left us, he was 17. He passed away in a plane accident in 1959. But 50 years later, his music is still going. And that's the legacy of Chicano music, because my parents played it, I play it, my kids know this song, and lately my grandkids know this song. That's 4 generations that know "Oh Donna" by Richie Valens, you know, and it was really great. Then the 60s came, and there was about to be more changes coming up, but Chicanos still liked music. They were still having problems, you know, going to big venues. So there were pioneers like Dick Hug, they called him Huggy Boy, Hunter Hancock, Wolfman Jack, and the great Art LeBeau. And they knew that Chicanos and blacks still were a big audience for rock and roll and doo-wop. And as Art LeBeau was quoted as saying at one point, the music may be old, but it's still good. Thus the term oldies but goodies was termed by Art LeBeau, who made a market of keeping the doo-wop shows alive at places like the El Monte Legion, Montebello Ballroom, the big Union Hall in Los Angeles. And he kept going, and he played a lot of black music, but he also featured a lot of Chicano music. And even though we lost Richie Valens, who's probably more famous for his song La Bamba, Hey, Let's Go, there was another young Chicano. And he actually toured with the Beatles in the 60s, but he was a Chicano, and he was a singer from the West, and he got people jumping with this song called Let's Dance. And I remember being a little kid dancing with my cousins and my aunts and my mom to this song.
1, 2, 3.
Hey baby, won't you take a chance? Say that you'll let me have this dance. So let's dance. Oh, let's dance. Go to the twist and stop the mashed potato too. Any old dance that you want to do, but let's dance.
Oh, yeah. That was Chris Montez, Les Dan, young Chicano. He names 3 dances, probably the first dances I ever learned how to dance. The twist and the mashed potato. Those were songs. There was also dances like the Bristol Stomp, the Watusi, that my mom and my aunts, once the men steps out to drink and play cards, my mom and my tias and my older cousin would get us guys, young guys, and teach us how to dance. And we'd have a good time. In the 60s, there was a big change, you know, in the music culture. You know, even though we had lost Richie Valens and Chris Montez was an exception with Chicano music, there became a change in music in the mainstream. It was surfer music, the Beach Boys, Jan and Dean, you know, and then there was the British invasion with the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and so on. And a lot of these, you know, music radio stations knew us Chicanos, we were never going to look like blonde-haired, blue-eyed surfers. It just wasn't going to happen. These young black guys, they were never, ever, you know, going to look like the Beatles, no matter how long they grew their hair. It wasn't until the famous rock star like Jimi Hendrix and Buddy Miles that blacks stepped out of the blues, soul, and R&B genre. But in the early 60s, there was a change, and there was a music explosion along with the civil rights movement. Chicano music began to expand, and in Los Angeles, East Los Angeles, there was a whole new explosion called the East Side Sound. And, you know, the East Side Sound was young Chicano musicians playing in their own bands, their own self-contained combos. They were called combos. Keyboard, bass, guitar, singer, and drummer. And they made the rounds in LA, and they developed a whole economy, music and dances and clothing and records, and, you know, making East LA popular, food. And I think one of the, you know, there were bands that kind of like led the way. They were Chicanos, you know, bands like Cannibal and Headhunters, you know, all the way from Texas, bands like Sham and the Pharoahs. But in East LA, the kings, the original Chicano kings of rock and roll were the Midniters, which I have been fortunate to make friends with these guys. This song is what started it, the whole Chicano music movement.
Let's take a trip down William Boulevard.
LA to San Gabriel Valley to the Inland Empire to San Diego. There probably wasn't any house party or small club or bar where you didn't hear that song. Back in the 60s, Chicanos, we perfected lowriding. There's a whole nother history to that, but Chicanos were lowriding, and we started putting in heavy duty sound systems in our cars. My older brothers and cousins, they had record players. Believe it or not, they had record players in the car. They played 45s, and they would get speakers. And I remember my brother getting these big speakers and taping them and putting them in big coffee cans and drilling holes in the coffee can and having the most tremendous sound. It just really blew my mind. And I know one of the more popular songs that they would jam is like everybody was jamming, and these Chicanos were coming on TV more than anybody. They were coming on white stations and black stations, and even on Spanish language TV shows. They were known as Cannibal and the Headhunters. And this is a song that made everybody look at East LA, along with the Midniters.
I said, no, 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 no.
Cannibal and the Headhunters. These were Chicano rock island. These guys, I mean, they were 10 feet tall to so many people. And I remember hearing that song and Whittier Boulevard. I mean, it was like, wow, you know, we're on TV shows like American Bandstand, Hullabaloo, Shindig. These are Chicanos. A lot of these guys were barely out of high school. A lot of these guys come from the generation where their parents didn't even speak English, you know? And as a young kid, sadly, I remember these were times where we couldn't go into certain restaurants. We couldn't go into public pools to go swimming unless it was Sunday, the day before they drained the pool, you know. And I remember as a kid, after going to church, we were able to walk down the street and go to a movie theater. And for 25 cents, you could see 2 movies, a cartoon, and hear a live band. And a lot of times we were lucky enough to hear bands like the Midniters. It was really great, you know, but what was happening too with Chicano music, it was spreading out. And we were becoming aware that, you know, there was a big Chicano music genre world outside of East LA. And you know what, TV and radio made that happen, you know. And I think one of the first Texas stars that I became aware of was a guy named Samudio Domingo. He was from Texas. He was a rock and roller, Chicano. I think everybody knew him better as Sam the Sham and the Pharoahs.
Uno, dos, 1, 2, 3, 4. ¡Hey! ¡Pule, pule! Watch it now, watch it. Here you go, here you go. Watch it now, he get it.
Yes, I'm the Sham. That was like my parents dancing to Chigas Patas Boogie or James Brown Night Train or Joe Houston's All Night Long. My brothers and my older cousins, and even me as a little kid, when you heard Wooly Bully, you got up. You got up. You know, we would sing it all the way along. And, you know, I was fortunate that a lot of this music was almost lost to me. And the owner of the East LA Review radio station, Stephen Chavez, him and Hector Gonzalez put together a movie. It was called The East Side Sound. And it was very, very indicative of what Chicanos were doing from the 50s up until the 60s that some people have forgotten, you know. It may be part of Americana, But at the time, it was Chicano music. Not everybody was listening to Chicano music when there was the Beach Boys and there was the Motown sound and there was the Volt Staff Review. And 1969, hard rock started coming into the view. Jimi Hendrix and Buddy Miles were really big. But the Chicano started fire with Huggy Boy, Heart the Bone, Wolfman Jack. The Chicanos still liked we liked the new stuff, but we really stood faithful to the old stuff. Oldies but good. They were old, but they were still good. Dancing was a real big thing. You know, my older brothers and cousins bought the record. We played them every day. You know, and as I remember, I really had a good experience, not only from my parents in the late 50s, early 60s, but from my brothers and older cousins and neighbors during the 60s and early 70s. During the early 70s, you know, I started to become of age, and the Vietnam War was starting to come to an end, but it had peaked. The Vietnam War had peaked, and it peaked about the same time the Civil Rights Movement peaked. And if you lived in Los Angeles or Texas or San Francisco, Colorado, New Mexico, the Chicano Movimiento started a whole new wave of pride in Mexican American and Latinos calling themselves Chicanos. You know, we were no longer Martinez, we were Martinez. We were never Robles, we weren't Robles anymore. My name wasn't Robles, it's Robles. We started, you know, pronouncing our names with that accent. And a lot of bands, what they started doing was naming their bands with a Spanish surname or a Spanish name. And I think one of the first pioneers was this young guy from Tijuana who blew everybody away at the 1969 Woodstock concert. He was a Chicano from Tijuana, and his name was Carlos Santana. And he named his band, you know, his last name. He was leader of the band. He was Santana. And this guy, I mean, he played so much different music, but what he did is he brought back a pride in a lot of Chicanos of Spanish language music. And he had his brand of Afro-Cubano Chicano rock, and he had a little bit of Chicano soul. And this is one song I remember. I mean, I was at a party, and there was every cholo, every black guy, every white guy in the house, even a couple of Asians. We all danced to this song. You got it? I think it's a Santana song. Yeah, that's the album. It was a great song. You know, it's funny, I have a story about that. I think I told you, Abelardo. It was at a high school dance, and we were dancing to that song. And I remember these black guys and these white guys saying, I don't know what they're saying, man, but that sounds badass. And we danced to that song. And, you know, white guys were actually singing the words, didn't know what the hell it meant. So that was kind of a compliment, you know, is that there were these people imitating Chicano music. Well, Carlos Santana, he opened up the doors to a lot of bands that started naming themselves with Spanish surname names. There were bands like from Oxnard known as Nuestro, bands from San Diego, you know, bands San Francisco, you know, but East LA, we were not going to be left out. We had our own band. These guys, they didn't sing at the start. They were instrumental. And I remember these guys telling me when they toured, playing their #1 song in the country, they toured in New York. People thought they were Hawaiian jazz musicians because they were just not used to Chicano rock on this kind of a scale. The name of the band was called El Chicano. It was fronted by a young guy named Bobby Espinosa on keyboard, Andre Baez.
This goes out to you.
The other guys.
This tune started what we call the brown sound. That heavy? Yeah. By the way, we're all Chicanos. And this goes out to you beautiful people that made this one #1. Viva Tirado. Yeah.
I was El Chicano. That was Andre Baeza, who later joined the group known as Tierra. But I remember here he was on national TV telling the world, we're Chicanos. Oh, man, I can't tell you how that people were like at home going, yeah, somebody's noticing Chicanos. And they made a couple of albums that were really, really, really powerful, you know. And, well, you know, LA wasn't the only place doing Chicano music. The brother of Carlos Santana, Jorge, he was also a founding member of a band from the San Francisco Bay Area known as Malo. And they also had a #1 hit. And, you know, it was a Spanish name sung in English. And again, I remember, I played this on an 8-track in my car. And I cruised down the boulevard playing this song over and over again. Malo. I believe 1971, yes, it's album cover. And everybody knows, and bands today still play this song. That was my Malo. This song was written by the singer Richard Bean, who told me he wrote that in high school from some girl for her girlfriend. And years later, he was able to put it to music, and it became a #1 hit by a group of Chicanos from San Francisco known as Malo. Now, the word of that, right about that time, I went into the military, went to Vietnam, and I also visited other countries. And I got to tell you, it was such a sense of pride to me. Here I was, a young Chicano from East LA, serving with Chicanos from Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, other states. And we're all digging this song, Malo Suavecito. Can you imagine the surprise? We went into nightclubs in the Philippines, in Okinawa, in Hong Kong, and here were these Asian bands playing this song. It was also in all the jukeboxes in enlisted men's club all over, different bases, naval ships. People were jamming to Suavecito. That was, wow, that was different. And it was a nice romantic song, you know, but coming back, Chicanos are still playing oldies, still playing ballads, still playing slow songs, still playing blues songs. And of course, you can never ever deny a Chicano party without a cumbia. But you know what? We still had that significant West Coast Chicano rock sound that, you know, a lot of people have tried to imitate around the country, but it's definitely Chicano music from the West Coast. There was a band called Sapo. And I remember they played this one song. And the thing about music is always, it's the rhythm in your heart. The rhythm in your heart, your life beat. The ritmo de mi corazón. Sapo put that to music. Check this out. Yes, indeed. That was Sapo. Lead singer was Richard Bean, who was also the lead singer on Malo's #1 song, Suavecito. I can't tell you how much of a surge of pride it touched a lot of people. And I think to this day, there's bands in LA like Ray Carrion's Latin All Stars, Kodak, Suave. They still play this song. And I tell you, the opening words, mírame, mírame, que estoy cansando y toda la gente está bailando. He says, man, there's nothing better than the rhythm in my heart. And I'm out here dancing. And so is everybody else, I'm singing and toda la gente está bailando. All the people are dancing. That's one thing Chicanos have always been known for. Tough times, happy times, good times, poor times. We love music and we love dancing. It must be a tribal thing. What do you think? Either way, it's Chicano music. And all this time in the background, don't forget, we're still playing them oldies. We love our Motown. We love our Boat Stack. We love our, our covers. A lot of bands to this day. One of the better cover bands in East LA is known as Soto. And there's one called Balance. And they're Chicano bands playing English language, oldies but goodies and rock and roll. They're probably some of the best, I think, on the West End. I've traveled around at least bottom southern United States. I've heard different bands, been in different clubs. And I say that sound, it's like, I might be in another state, be in another city, and I pass by, whether it be a club or a bar, and I hear this song, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. That's cool. Towards the end, like I said, after the 70s, after I got out of the military, I got out in 77, after 5 years in the Marine Corps. I walked right into the disco club scene, John Travolta and all that. Chicanos were getting into that, yeah. They were getting into it, but it wasn't, to me, I couldn't get into it because I didn't know how to dance like John Travolta. And neither did a lot of my friends. We loved our oldies but goodies. We loved our ballad. We loved our slow song. We loved our Motown. And, I was a club bouncer for a while. I used to watch everything. And I also noticed that during the disco scene, DJs were more popular than the bands because they could play everything. Whereas some bands were kind of constricted to a specific song list, based on their capabilities of performing music. Doesn't mean they weren't bad, but Chicanos were still playing the music, and, DJs were able to play different songs, different records that people could dance to. Well, after a couple of years, that began to kind of die out, the disco. I think now it's called retro or freestyle. But anyway, Chicano music still, boom, 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 boom. It survived the surfer era. It survived the acid rock era. It survived the disco era. And, right about the time that I stopped being a bouncer and became a DJ, bands started coming back into clubs, live bands singing the old songs, whether it be modernized, however you want to Chicanoize, stylized, updated, whatever it was. Chicano bands were coming back and they were making a big, big imprint. Chicano Park down in San Diego draws over 100,000 people every year. And you got bands down there playing oldies, playing rock and roll, playing cumbia, playing ranchera, playing mariachi, even Aztec dancers, all that is Chicano music. It's not, we're not being racially exclusive, but we invite anybody to come in and join us. As long as you respect us, we respect you. You like our music? Come on and dance. You got the prettiest women, so I don't blame you for wanting to be there. But towards the end of that disco, toward the 80s, again, Chicano bands started making a comeback. They never really went away. They just started getting more attention again. And, one of the more popular bands of the 80s that really represented the raza, really represented Chicano. They went as far, they went around the world. They played, probably the only Chicano band that played at Carnegie Hall in New York, were my friends known as Tierra. And this band took them around, this song took them around the world. My good friend Stevie Salas as the lead singer. Yes, indeed.
Without a place to go, but we're so in love with each other that we wouldn't even know. And I don't care any place, anywhere, just as long as we are there, baby, together, baby.
Yeah, that was Tierra with the 1982 Grammy Award-winning song "Together" with my good friend Stevie Salas, the lead singer. Tierra sits in the spot in Chicano music the way the Midniters and Cannibal, Santana, these guys, their music is going to live forever because it was done by Chicanos, it was loved by Chicanos, it's danced to by Chicanos, it was collected by Chicanos. And I'm one of the Chicano DJs that I still play this. Well, I do a live gig with on my radio show on 2 different stations. Chicano music is a real big part of my format. And not speaking from a Chicano from East LA. I know this Chicano DJ, like my good friend Crazy Chewy, the godfather of Tejano Soul out there in Texas, he has a different version of Chicano music, and it's not bad. The people in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, they have their own version of what they would refer to as Chicano music. San Francisco, San Diego, the Central Coast, Carpinteria, Santa Barbara, San Jose. We all have our own different taste in dance music, whether it be funk, R&B, stylized rock and roll, sophisticated rap, whatever it is. So people can attach that to Chicano music as long as they throw in a little touch of the oldies, little taste of cumbia, maybe a ranchera or a tejano. Chicanos, we like a salad. We like a jukebox of music. We want everything, and we'll dance to everything, And there was a joke my good friend, comedian Kiki Esquivel once said. He says, we Chicanos, we like food. We like fried food. We like fried food so much we refry it. I think that was pretty indicative of our taste. That, we don't waste anything. We don't let anything go away. And as Chicano music, there's always a rehash of an old song. And in my experience as a DJ, over 30 years, I'm sorry, I'm old, but over 30 years in the music business, many of the songs that I've come to love and learn and hear, and many of these songs that I've found, they go back. They go back to the 20s. They go back to the 30s. Some of Black rhythm and blues and soul music go back, unfortunately, to the late 1800s of slavery days. They just added music, and they changed the words. But, most oldies, most rhythm and blues, they tell stories. And that's what the music is supposed to do. It's supposed to tell a story, and it's supposed to make a memory and make you think of something, whether it be another time, another place, or another person. And during the the 80s and 90s, there was a comeback of a lot of cover songs. And there was one lady, she really touched my soul when she had this song, and her name was Quiqui Rangel. And she took this song and took it to another level, you know, doing the female cover of this song. We got that, Abelardo?
Baby, baby, now you just don't understand how much I love you, baby, and how much I wanna be your only woman. Baby, baby, baby. You don't have to go. Stay a little while longer, baby. You see, I need.
Oh, yes, indeed. Now, that's what's known in Chicano music as a grinder. I'll let you take the innuendo what it is, but as known as a grinder, it's an oldie. And when I saw Quiqui Rangel sing this song about 15 years ago, I saw her sing it live. I was like flabbergasted because she was known as a Chicano rock singer with a group called Los Rock Angels. And during the movimiento, they played a lot of inspirational Chicano music in the Santana flavor. And, you know, it was real Chicano movimiento oriented, talking about rights and times and music and changes and social stuff. And then she turned around and sang this oldie, and she's had my heart ever since. Quiqui, if you're listening, thank you. You know, it was really great, that song. And, you know, just like Tierra and other groups, you know, in the 80s and 90s and recently, Ray Carrion and his Latin All-Stars being one, Soto, Balance, these other great bands, Cold Duck, these guys that have survived, they keep this music alive. And I've been privileged to work with a lot of these Chicano bands, travel with them up and down the state of California and as far as Texas. And, you know, I have always noticed that they never play the song the same way twice. That's a talent because, you know, that keeps the music from getting stale. You know, we got lady singers like Lulu Cardona, Francesca Capazzo, Lava Trevino. These ladies can rock, but they made their points, they made their bones singing, bringing back some oldies. In the late early 1980s, a lot of people rediscovered Richie Valens. Again, he was a great guy. I never had the privilege to meet him or see him live, but he died at the early age of 17. He's a musical genius, the first Chicano rock star. They made a movie about him called La Bamba. And people that were picked to do the music for the movie, which was Grammy nominated, Oscar nominated. It was a band from East LA, a band of Chicanos that I remember. They made the rounds doing the weddings and presentations and backyard parties and high school dances back in the day. And they were a really, really unique band. They could do rock, they could do punk, they could do heavy metal, they could do mariachi. And in the movie, this band does the mariachi number. But they brought back a Richie Valens song, which was actually a cover of a 1957 Robert and Johnny song that I remember playing this and people telling me, who is that? That's not the Richie. I go, no, this is Los Lobos. I still play this. We have it.
And we belong together. Yes, we belong together for eternity.
song. Because we got kids watching and other people, that's about as R-rated as Abelardo's going to get. That may not see. But that, you know, Lou Diamond Phillips was lip syncing that song, but it was actually done and sung by David Hidalgo. And the music was done by Los Lobos with the guitar by Cesar Rosa. That song is a 1957 song done by Robert and Johnny on the East Coast. Chicano favorite to this day. 1958, Richie Valens did a version of it. Chicano favorite to this day. 1980, I believe it was 85. Los Lobos did it for the movie La Bamba. Chicano favorite to this day. See, Chicano, we don't throw nothing away. We fix it, we repackage it, we refry it, we make it better, and we share it. It's one thing I've always noticed, you know, about Chicano music. You know, you could be from a different neighborhood, you could be from a different family, from a different state. You know, I've met people from Cuba, Puerto Rico, Central, South America, and they might have a little difference of opinion on ethnic labeling, but Chicanos, but they do appreciate the music. And, you know, they play the same stuff, believe it or not. Believe it or not. I met a lady from Peru who was a real popular singer, and she played doo-wop. She did doo-wop music in Spanish. If you ever heard it in the still of the night in Spanish, that's something you think about. Chicano music lives. You know, now we got new artists, and I'm really grateful to say that in my 65 years, the music is still alive the way I like it. And it's still being done in a way that I could appreciate. You know, we can't really identify Chicano music with any kind of stereotype. We can't. People try to, you know, say it belongs to a certain faction of society. I say that's wrong, man. If you like the music, I don't care what you wear. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care where you live. The music is always going to be there. We've always been influenced, you know, by Black. The great Mark Guerrero, he's an East LA rocker and the son of Lalo Guerrero. I had the privilege of meeting him and interviewing him once, and he is known as a Chicano rock and roller. And he had told me when he first started in music, he had a group called Mark and the Escorts, and it was a mixed race group. And he told me, you know, I didn't start out to be a Chicano rock and roller. I just wanted to be a rock and roller. And he was given that label. So he wrote a couple of really inspirational songs. And Mark wrote this one song I still play. It was never controversial, but it hit a point. And the main chorus of the song says, you may thank Jesus for saving your soul, but you gotta thank the Black man for rock and roll. You know, there's not enough credit can be said that. And I think we like the music that brings back memories and makes us fall in love and makes us make memories and makes us talk to people or make you want to sit back and drink a beer and smoke something. One of the most favorite oldies of all times has just recently been done by this young artist. Let's see, what is this artist's name? I can't find it here on the list, Abelardo. What? Let me see. Ah, yes, indeed. Monica Rocha. She redid this song. Again, a lot of Chicanas are redoing all these songs that were done by male singers. And they're turning it around and giving it their own Chicana flavor. And I appreciate that. This is by Monica Rocha. She's only the second Chicana after Linda Ronstadt to record this song. You got that, Abelardo? I believe it's Monica Rocha. Check this out.
I don't like you, but I love you. Seems that I'm always thinking of
getting the message there? It's a story of love. It's a story of attraction. It's a story about something that's going to be a memory sometime in your lifetime. That's how Chicano music hits you. I can tell you personally, I used to sing that song to my wife 20 years ago. Fast forward, my grandkids can sing this song, and they're falling in love to it. So Monica, thank you for that. There's also another one, you know, you can't really get away, you can't really say you like Chicano music without getting a touch of the Staxville or the Motown. The Motown was the African Americans' answer to the British invasion and the surfer phenomena and early hard rock, which later became acid rock, which grew up to be heavy metal. Anyway, Chicanos had a choice. You know, we could dabble in that, or we could stick with the music that makes a memory and tells a story. And this song here, I don't think there's any Chicano music lover that can't sing along with this song. This was redone by a lady of the name of Brittany Nicole. She's an up-and-coming singer, and I've had the privilege of seeing her in action. Young kid. She's going to be somebody at Chicano music if she keeps it up. But she does this one song that I bet you can sing along to. If you like Chicano music, Abelardo, you got this one by Brittany Nicole? I think you sung it to your wife. I think you told me once.
To know your name, but I was much too shy. But I was looking at you so hard until you must have had a touch. So you came up to me and asked me my name. You beat me to the punch. That time you beat me to the punch. Oh, 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 oh. You beat me to the punch. Oh, after I hadn't known you for it seems like a long, long time. I won't it.
All right, I know some of you were singing along. And if you turn the volume up, maybe your better half was in the kitchen. You heard it, started singing along. Again, my grandkids could sing this song, you know. And it was originally done by Mary Wells. But Brittany Nicole sang again, it tells a story. It tells the story of young love. You know, some of the best love songs in Chicano music that are alive for over the past 30, 40 years, they weren't done by Chicanos. You know, LA has got some great, great artists. But I think there ain't no Chicano more favorite than Brenton Wood. His songs are alive today. He's still in concert. And when we talk about, you know, Chicano soul, Chicano oldie, Latin music, Latin soul, the king of Latin soul isn't even Latin, believe it or not. He's a Black Filipino man from New York, and his name is Joe Batan. I've had the privilege of meeting this man and doing shows with him and his wife. Very, very talented. And he does music. I mean, he comes out to the West Coast 2-3 times a year, and he packs it. He packs it. And he encourages young people also to keep that music alive. And there are times where I enjoy hearing new artists do covers on Chicano favorites. But I'm also real impressed when a new Chicano artist or group does something original and puts it out there. Sometimes they send it to me and say, hey, Frankie, check this out. Maybe you can play this on your show. This next song, I think this one really is it's going to go somewhere. I like it because it reminds me of my own neighborhood in East LA when I was a kid. We used to play in the river, ride our bikes and skateboards back in the 60s. And this scene that is done out here, it really touched me there. And the style of dress and the hair, it's got Chicano soul written all over it. Check this one out. This is by the Lakesiders. nice. That was nice. That was a taste of the Lakesiders. And I just like the whole, you get a chance to see the whole video on YouTube. It's really touching. You know, I'm pretty much coming to the close. You know, I could go on for hours or days about Chicano music, but I hope that I'll give you just a little bit of a taste of what one Chicano, originally from East LA, who's a little bit past the high school prom, still remembers his great music, still plays it. And you can catch my music on my 2 internet radio station shows on EastLAReview.com and RememberThenRadio.com every Monday. They come from the East Coast. I also want to thank all the listeners all over the world and across the country that send me emails, that talk to me on Facebook and listen to my shows. You know, I come to the live shows. Those are going to come back. Right now we're hitting some hard time, but they don't last forever. You know, you got people like Ray Carrion, the Latin All-Stars, they're bringing so much music back. They're going to keep on bringing it back. And I'm going to be there. And I hope you are too. One of the most probably prolific performers right now. He's not a young man, but he's not old. And he's been around for a long time up in Central California. And I think LA, they already discovered him about 15 years ago. And his popularity has gone from here to Texas. Very good friend of mine. And he plays his song that I'm going to close off with. My very good friend, the soul man of Santa Barbara, Pepe Marquez. I really want to thank you for having me. I want to thank you all for listening. I want to thank you all for being here. I hope you continue to love Chicano music.
Though you may not drive a great big Cadillac, gangster white walls, TV antennas in the back. You may not have a car at all, but remember, brothers and sisters, we can still stand tall. Just be thankful for what you got.
Oh man, Frankie Firme. Let's give it up for Frankie. Where'd you go, Frankie? Anyway, what a show. Thank you so much, Frankie Firme, for taking us through the history of Chicano music. Just a small bit of history, but a history nonetheless, from Sam the Sham to Tierra to Pepe Marquez, Los Lobos, Richie Valens. I mean, our music is rich with history, with emotion, with passion. And I'm glad that Frankie was here to lead us through it. You can hear Frankie, like he said, on EastLAReview.com, and also that other one that I forgot about, but that's the one that you can listen to him at. And thank you so much. That was really a lot of music, and you could find it all like I did. He gave me a list, and I just went onto YouTube and pulled them up, and here we are. So that was our West Coast Chicano Soul Show, direct from La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, En Casa con La Plaza, to you. On behalf of all of us here at La Plaza, I would like to thank you. Going to give you a little bit of taste of what's going on in the next week to come. We got 4 big shows. Pork empanada cooking demonstration every Monday in Plaza con la Casa Cocina. Jimena Martin, our Senior Director of Programming and Education, she's going to talk to Andrea Borgen Abdallah from Barcito, located here in downtown LA, to give you a taste of how to cook pork empanadas, empanadas de cerdo, Argentinian style. On Tuesday, Mexican-American history maker Ana Valdez, executive producer of Latino Donor Collaborative, It's a special session that we do in partnership with the Mexican American Cultural Education Foundation. So that's Tuesday at 6 o'clock, an hour earlier than we usually do it. On Thursday, is it Thursday? No, it's Wednesday. Wednesday, when community creates exhibitions, the making of Afro-Latinidad, Mi Casa, My City. An exhibition that we launched here in February that unfortunately 3 weeks later we closed La Plaza, but you'll see a small part of it on this panel discussion with the curator, Mariah Berlanga Shevchuk, with one of the lenders, Janelle Hartley, an advisor, La Miquia Castillo, and assistant curator, Esperanza Sanchez. That's on Wednesday at 7. Then finally, on Fridays, we like to keep it light, keep it active. We have Nancy Sanchez, a singer-songwriter, doing Mexican-American pop for all of you. So it'll be a performance that she'll be presenting to you directly to your casa from our casa. I'd like to thank you for all of you who attended. I hope you shared it on Facebook, started a watch party. If you can, come back to our Facebook page, our YouTube page. We will have this entire program online for you to come back and watch and listen to it again and again, along with our more than 40 sessions that we've had starting in April. I'd like to thank our sponsors, SoCal Gas and the California Humanities and the National Endowment for the Humanities as part of the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, the CARES Act. We hope you're safe out there. Keep strong, keep safe. We're there with you. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're enjoying our En Casa sessions, please join as a member of La Plaza. Our members make programs like this possible. I'm going to put the link on our Facebook page so that you can, help us out. By helping us out, we help you out. You can, like I said, you could watch these programs along with all the others on laplaza.org, Facebook and YouTube at La Plaza LA, and we're also on Instagram and Twitter at La Plaza LA. All our upcoming sessions are on our website, laplazala.org. So thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good time out there. Enjoy, stay safe, y nos vemos hasta la próxima. Bye-bye.